first team that we're going to speak about. Now, of course, off the ball. Now, this does have Gusto overlapping, but again, this would be this off the ball. This is something we spoke about the other day in the Simmons video, but it would be Palmer playing on the right with an overlapping right back as the main sort of system of the game, and how we're setting up. Now, Hato at left back in this scenario is, again, I've just put him in because I want to speak about some possible sort of lineups with them both in the team. Of course, this could easily be Cucurella, and it works just the same. But essentially, as you just saw a minute ago, Gusto would be the overlapper. So you've got two runners in the final third with Gittins and Gusto. So again, something we spoke about on the channel is having that mixture of the runners and the creators. So you'd have obviously Simmons and Palmer in the pockets. And then you've got sort of this back three. Now, the main reason I really like this team is I think that something to sort of touch on with the signings of Hato and Simmons, the physicality you've added on this left side of the pitch really does allow you to use Enzo in this deeper role more often, which is something a lot of people have wanted to see. Because if we just change that to say that, because we want him there, what you've done is you've added Simmons, who works hard off the ball, he's not like powerful in terms of, again, if you've watched the video, you know he's got some weakness issues in terms of like his side-to-side combat, but he will work hard and he's scrappy and intense. Hato, again, video out tonight, physical monster. So he will really well complement. He'll do really well to complement and sort of protect Enzo in that zone. Gittins as well has all the physical sort of brilliance to work up and down that line, work hard, use that to be protective on that left-hand side. So you look at all three of those players around Enzo for that sort of left-hand contingency, and you've got way more protection than you had last season with Sancho and Cucurella. Now, Cucurella does offer that because he can step up and really sort of be in here with Enzo. But now you've got not only that like one player with Cucurella, but you've also got a harder working winger with a bit more power and physicality, but also Simmons, who's going to work really hard in there as well in that pocket. So you've got a lot more physicality and work rate to work around Enzo in that deeper role, which I really, really like. Now, again, I think this balance is really, really good. I think you have two really good carriers of the ball on the outside of the block in Fofana and Hato here. Of course, it gets Cole into that central centre-back role. Enzo's more protected. Again, in certain games, if you still want even more, you can obviously put Lavia in here. That's fine. That's another option to have. And again, Enzo will be in most of these lineups and Lavia will be on the bench, like in a lot of the sort of lineups that we're talking about. But that's not to say that Lavia won't play. Like, again, it depends on form and who's playing well and the balance of the team. If we're playing against a team that we really want to be sort of safe in the middle of the park, and Maresca, again, we've seen him say it last season, at times he values that physicality in midfield, then we could see that. We could even see Reece James in midfield again, like this, with no Enzo in the team. So there's so many different options with what we could see sort of as that base midfield. But the idea being that left centre-back, Hato and Simmons there. Now, let's move on to the second option, which is another option we sort of mentioned the other day, which is a bit more of a rotational option on that left-hand side. Now, this would mean Cole is playing more as that left centre-back. So in this instance, you'd probably have Toss in as that central centre-back rather than someone like Wes. This would allow someone like Reece to play as a right centre-back, maybe more suited than playing that overlapping role in terms of for his body. Again, this could be different, but for the way that we're going to talk about this system, it would make sense to have Enzo here because you've got players who can all replace each other. Now, again, of course, like Enzo doesn't want to be wide, but the rotations and IQ between these three players could really work well in terms of rotating positions and adding that zone replacement, which we've spoke about in the past. Now, my key thing here would be that is a little bit deeper. Hato can make those bursting runs. Simmons can as well. But this would be one that I maybe want to use someone like Delap or Jackson in because they can make those channel runs to open it up. And again, you've got a runner in Neto. So your two runners more so are your right winger and your striker in this system. Now, the other way of looking at this would be to, again, switch the dynamics from this left side being the zone replacement type again, Simmons, Hato. Watch the Simmons and Hato's videos if you want to know like the qualities that they have to be able to play the roles, whether that's in this half space, whether that's attacking the byline on the outside of a block, or even sort of dropping into these inverted roles. Do make sure you check out those videos because they will give you a little bit more insight into how their qualities help. But where's the third one? Here. You can also switch the dynamics round. So again, you've got Gittins now, who's going to be that more sort of attacking, that more of that runner. And again, this is one where you could do it with João Pedro, but again, this could be Delap to offer you a secondary runner who can run into that right space. But now, on this instance, you're playing with an inverted fullback instead of an overlapping fullback. So you've actually started two wingers. You've got Esteval in here. Now, that would probably mean Simmons won't play. A lot of people have sort of been speaking about the idea of having Simmons, Palmer, and Esteval as that three behind the striker. And I do think that there's some occasions that could work. Because, of course, you could have Gusto overlapping on the right or a left-back overlapping on the left. And you could start somebody like Delap up front, and that could be your main outlet runner, and everybody else is sort of tight and trying to keep the ball. That could work in games where you're really trying to sort of keep the ball, and I'm not saying it will never happen. But I do think there's a lack of sort of ability to stretch the pitch with that. And that's not to say Esteval can't do that, but I think he's more inclined, again, to sort of drop in and connect. So that's why I've sort of gone for, if Esteval is going to play with Palmer, then Simmons maybe wouldn't play. Maybe Palmer would be rested. Maybe Simmons would play with Esteval, vice versa. But I think two of them at any one time is enough in terms of those ball-to-feet creators. And again, like I say, Esteval can adapt. He could be that runner and, like, he could make those runs in behind and be more of that outlet goal scorer for you. But I do think you want to use him in a different way. So like I say, you've got Delap and you've got Gittins as those runners. And now you've got that zone replacement. Like we spoke about on the left side with Enzo, Enzo, Simmons, Hato. What you now have is Palmer, Esteval, and James. And what this allows to do is Palmer can come out wide to receive, which, again, we've saw him do to very good effect, coming out to the wing, getting on the ball and being able to sort of put balls into the box and create that little bit of extra space for himself. You also now allow Esteval to get in that pocket, but also Reece can sort of push forward and attack that space at times. And Palmer can even drop in deeper to create from deep, which again is something that a lot of people don't like, but I do quite like about Palmer because I think he has the ability to sort of just pick out anything that he wants. I just think his ability to pick passes is just second to none. So that is another option when you have that sort of zone replacement-esque ability on this side. Now, again, that doesn't mean that would happen as much. But I just think that having those profiles in rotation, like I say, you can switch it from left to right and have those triangular rotations on either side. And I do think that is very important. Now, the third option we're going to speak about is, again, it's one that we've seen a bit already. But again, it would be with Simmons instead of Nkunku. And it was one that we used in the Club World Cup. And again, it's the 3-1-6. It's a bit of a diamond at times. Obviously, it could be like this. It can be more sort of three in the pockets. I really like this against low blocks. And I'm going to say why. Firstly, I really like it when Cole is in this central position because it allows him to double up on either side. And I think that it just works really well for him. And again, he can drop into that pocket alongside Casado. It just has really, really good rotational sort of benefit for Cole Palmer. Simmons, again, gets him into this zone. He would be starting on the left in this scenario. So the overlapping left back, again, Kukurea or Hato. So I'll put it as Kukurea here, but this could be Hato as well. That would open up the space for Simmons to play in that pocket of space there. Enzo in this case would be on the right. So that, again, is more so because the overlapping fullback is on the left. So to have him in the pocket, it would just make sense to have him here because obviously if he was playing on the left, then it would be Palmer here, Simmons here, which of course could work, and it still does work because Simmons being in that central position. But like I say, there's reasons that I like Palmer in that central position. So probably makes more sense to do it in this way, but you could see lots of rotation in that between the three pocket players. Casado in there on his own, and then again, you're probably going to have the back three like this if you're overlapping the left back so that you can have, say, Tosin instead of Fofana. But if you're overlapping the right back, of course, you can switch it. And there is also the opportunity, which we'll speak about, especially against back fives, maybe that is where you see Cole will start as the right centre-back and Hato as the left centre-back. And you have it somewhat like this, because then you've got the physicality and somebody who, again, you've got carriers on the outside of the block who can, against lower block teams who are going to sit back, you've got players who can carry it forward themselves. And they can also be aggressive to sort of pin teams in. So this could be something that we see where Hato does get some centre-back minutes. It could be in more of a situation like this. So of those 3 or 4 lineups that we spoke about, which is your favourite?